Gina has not only been my sister, but also my colleague, my partner in crime, my therapist, my co-conspirator, and the one person that always tries to finish all the money that ABS makes. Sometimes I wish I could bar my office when I hear she's coming up. There are times I start and end my day with texts and phone calls from Gina, usually ending with me throwing my phone to the bed in frustration. But for all those tears of frustration, there have been moments of awe and admiration at how this sister of mine, kalat na kalat, can do all these things. For 65 years, Gina has brought me to the depths of despair, as well as the heights of ecstasy. There is no halfway for Gina. You are in or out. And yet, I suspect that there are many of us in this room, including me, that will follow Gina wherever she leads. I still find it hard to believe that my sister of 65 years has finally left us to join that. This woman of constant motion and boundless energy has finally come to rest. It is fitting that the service started and will end here at ABS, our home for over 30 years, whose DNA is very much the yin to Gina's yang, a symbiotic relationship that has produced over the years the many, many accomplishments Gina has nurtured. One without the other is unthinkable, incomplete, both in the service of the Filipino, as it should be, as it was, and forever shall be. Amen. I won't regale you with the many stories of Gina's numerous deeds, or funny anecdotes and what have you. I suspect in this room alone, we can fill a book with stories of what Gina has done and what she has meant to us. But I have 3 stories about Gina that I want to share with you. The first is her ability to think big. After producing Sinescuela, an educational show done in an entertaining manner to capture children's attention, Gina decided to put a TV in every school in the country. It was such an audacious goal. Today, 30 years after, nothing she does shocks us anymore. But in the 1990s, in the analog world we lived in, we were shocked. We all laughed. I said, "Gina, you are crazy." A statement I have said to Gina since we were kids. But undeterred, she went out and started to do that very task. And today, 30 years after its inception, we are still at it. A tribute to the tenacity, the indefatigable energy that emanates from that woman. The second story is about her fearlessness. Does anyone remember the time she walked into a room full of minors, jeering and castigating her, all by her lonesome? Until today, this story amazes me. The conference room was full of her implacable enemies. If looks could kill, she was dead many times over. And yet, she stood her ground and spoke her truths, without rancor, without anger, as if she was talking to a classroom full of grade school students. An MVP accused her of lying, playing to the jeering crowd. He said, "You are a liar, Gina." Gina, who is incapable of telling a lie. She doesn't even know what a white lie is. She never lost her cool, not even when she was accused of lying. I remember we ran that tape several times on ANC without any comments on our part. We wanted the world to see what kind of person Gina was and what kind of people the minors are. The third story is about her humanity, or her spirituality. After she was rejected by the Senate COA, I remember some incident where the senator involved was one of those that voted against her. Of course, I remembered and I said, Gina, this is one of those that voted against you. She didn't remember, and frankly, she couldn't care less. Gina never bore a grudge against anyone. She always appealed to your better self, and she was always ready to move on to fight the next battle without the scars from the last one. Her spirituality kept her focused on her goals, loving all and always ready to give you another chance to do the right thing. She never judged anyone. Did any of you watch Bohemian Rhapsody? In that movie, Queen, the rock group, produced a 6-minute pop single called Bohemian Rhapsody. It's like watching a 4-hour movie. Nobody is going to sit through a movie that long. But the group believed in that song. No record company wanted to release it because it was twice as long as the accepted length for a pop single. But Queen persevered, and the rest is history. I've always told Carlo that is the DNA of ABS-CBN. We go against the grain, not to be a maverick, but to be in the service of the Filipino. We follow our heart, and the rest will come. And Gina is the personification of that philosophy. Who would have thought this woman who follows her heart to every nook and cranny, who has never had a rational thought, would accomplish so much? Yet this woman has put 1 million trees in La Mesa down, literally saved Metro Manila from any water shortages, a fact not known to many people. I could go on and on, but others will, and perhaps there will be a book, and maybe more than one, not to broadcast her many deeds, but to inspire others to follow in her trailblazing path. She was all that and more. A mother, a daughter, a beloved sister to the 6 of us left in her wake, a cousin to the Lopez and Law clans. She wanted to know about your spouse, your children, your maids, your drivers, your dogs. Gina had a dog that was a brother to my dog. When I rushed back from abroad on news of her impending demise, she asked me about my dog. I said he is quarantined, but she said that dog loves you and misses you. Go straight to your dog. Meanwhile, I was left dumbstruck because she had stage 4 cancer and she was worried about my dog. So Carlo, maybe it's time for us to amend their slogan to "In the service of the Filipino and their dogs." You will be missed, Gina. Hopefully others will be inspired by your example and they will follow in your path. That a life of service and dedication to the Filipino is a life worth living, and a life well lived, and a life with meaning, and above all, a life of passion. I have come to realize that when Gina follows her heart, she finds that there are many people that are galvanized to do her bidding. It is because the Filipino leads with their heart. Gina has always known this. It is how she can get all these people to follow and execute impossible tasks. The world is full of people who have done impossible things. If they followed their heads instead of their hearts, none of these deeds would have come true. So Gina, we promise to stay true to the trials you have forged, to continue to make 6-minute pop singles. For there is no greater glory, no more honorable task, no more passionate journey than a life led as you have in the service of the Filipino. You know, my sister taped a conversation with my sister, Gina, in her last 3 weeks. And it was sort of like a Q&A. And we'd like to share with you now some of the excerpts from that conversation.